If you want to get into real estate and don't know how to calculate numbers for a rental property, this video can help you. This is the exact method I follow when I'm looking at a rental property. So my name is Arun Matthew. In this channel, we discuss stocks, real estate, and crypto. If you're interested in personal finance, consider subscribing. So let's get into the topic. First, I will explain to the type of expenses I account for when I do numbers for a rental property.
The type of returns a property can provide are mainly market appreciation and cash flow. Market appreciation is the increase in property value, and cash flow is the difference between income generated from the property and property expenses. Let's look at how we can calculate cash flow. The basic principle behind cash flow is income minus expenses. That's the profit. Here the income is the rent collected from the property. The rent should be always greater than the expenses we have, or else we have to put money from our pocket to maintain the property, and it will be considered as a bad investment. To calculate cash flow, we have to figure out the expenses, and these are the expenses I account for when I do numbers for a rental property. The first expense I'll be looking at is the taxes. Usually taxes will be listed on the property listing. If not, try to contact the listing agent to find out how much will be the yearly taxes for this property. Once you have the annual taxes, divide it by 12 to get the monthly tax payment. The second expense I consider is the vacancy. Usually when a tenant decides to leave, you might not get a tenant right away to fill the space. The property might be empty for a month, but you will have to pay the mortgage even if the property is vacant. So I take 5% of the rent and put it aside every month to use that amount to pay for mortgage when the unit is empty. The third expense I like to consider is the maintenance. I like to set aside 5% of the rent for maintenance. As a landlord, you might have to fix the roof or toilet at some point. When that happens, the money you set aside can help you. The next one is the property management fee. Most property management companies charge 10% of the rent to manage the property. So if you're planning to hire a property management company to take care of the rental property, make sure to include that in your calculations. The next expense I like to consider is the capital expenditure. Every property will have capital expenditures like roof, flooring, plumbing, windows, appliance, HVACs, etc. So as a property owner, you need to budget for capital expenditure. So this is what I do. I take each capital expenditure and divide it by its lifespan. So for example, to replace a roof, it might cost you 5,000. The average lifespan of a roof is 25 years. This means I have to divide 5,000 divided by 25 to get yearly capital expenditure for the roof. And I will divide this by 12 to get the monthly capital expenditure for the roof. Here I am going to post the common capital expenditure and how I budget this in my monthly rent. Please pause the video to take a look at it. I found this from the book Rental Property Investing by Brandon Turner. If you're interested in this book, I will add a link in the description. The last one is the insurance. The two main kinds of rental property insurances are flood and property insurance. You will need to have property insurance to protect your property against all kinds of accidents. If your property is in a flood-prone area, make sure to get a flood insurance. Try contacting multiple insurance providers to get the best quote. Finally, if you're planning to pay for lawn care, garbage, water and heat, make sure to get an average cost from the seller. So I add all these expenses and I deduct them from the rent to find out the cash flow. So the next question is, what is a decent cash flow for a rental property? For me, if 50% of the rent can cover all the expenses, including the mortgage, then it's a good deal. So if my rental income is 3,000, 1,500 should be able to cover all the expenses, including mortgage. I know it might be hard to find a property that fits this criteria. That's why I only invest in good deals. So I hope this video helped you in your investing journey. Thanks for watching.